First of all, welcome everyone. Again, thank you so much for making it to this session. It's our session with Priyanka Savina, and we're going to be talking about nutrition and mindful eating. So this session is part of the Mind Retreat. I can see a few familiar faces on here. For those who don't know, the Mind Retreat, just started with an impromptu idea of having, Wellness Week for two reasons. One is May is Mental Awareness Month, and I think it's super important to take care of both our physical and our mental well-being. And the second reason was, everything that we're doing right now as part of this week, we're raising funds for people who are fighting for their lives in terms of COVID. So these are the two reasons, and there's kind of like no other better way we thought to kind of give back. And it's awesome to see all of you guys on here. And it's great to have Priyanka, on this call. And Priyanka is a nutrition and wellness professional, and she's worked in, various industries. I know she's worked for Mallya Hospital, VLCC, and, also an Arsenal soccer club. So I know you do like sports medicine and, those sorts of
Sports
things.
nutrition, yes.
Yeah. So, we want to know more. And, with that, I'm going to turn it to Priyanka. And
Thank you so much.
for this call.
Thank you, Amulya, for that huge introduction. Yeah, and I'm happy that we're doing this, and some way I feel useful that I'm able to give back, for this situation, during this situation, I'm able to do something. So today's session, yes, we are going to be talking about mindful eating. Since it's a lot to do about, a wellness week, I don't want to really talk about a diet as such or food or anything like that, but I want to bring into focus what emotional eating is, how the way we feel affects how we eat. So I want to focus on that, because not a lot of people are focusing on the feeling aspect of food. They're only concentrating on maybe their diet or maybe their exercise, and just two aspects of it and ignoring the rest. So when I talk about emotional eating, it is feeling, when you feel a certain way, you crave to eat certain foods. So when you're looking at a particular food, you also need to focus on the way you feel. So what is emotional eating? I've explained, I've told you it is the feeling. What causes it? There are a lot of triggers, and there can be different kinds of emotional eating. It can be in a positive way, it can be negative. So, if it is, say if something negative is causing it, say if you are having some hardship, if you are having some financial trouble or some relationship trouble, then you go out looking for food just to make you feel good. So that is negative, in a negative way. You're not feeling good about it, but you're just looking at food to make you feel better. So that is negative emotional eating, and that causes a lot of problems generally, because we don't know the amount we are eating, we don't know when we are eating, what time we are eating, we don't focus on the volume of food. So we should focus on different aspects, so to turn that experience of eating into a positive one. So when I talk about positive emotional eating, that is when you feel good, when you have done something, when you have achieved something, or your day has been great at work, you want to come back and feast, or say for some, have a glass of wine, so that makes them feel good, or drink a beer or eat something. So that is positive, but we also need to watch the volumes. So why we look at food when it comes to our emotions is because when we are feeling, say, low, basically there's sort of an emptiness that we feel like we are lacking something, and we look out to sort of make that full. And when we're looking out for something, there's nothing else, because what is there that out there that will make us feel fulfilled? There's nothing else but filling that void with food. Food gives you that feeling of fullness. That's why you look out at food, because you eat and you feel full. And but the thing is, when we eat, and then after that you're not feeling full, you're not feeling satisfied. you still feel empty. So that's when you should realize that that is more of your just emotional eating and not really in a positive way. So even when we're talking about foods, different kinds of foods also cause different reactions. Say when you're having something really light and clean, if it is a home cooked meal, or if it is, for example, something really fresh and nice like veggies or a salad, in that form, you feel good, you feel refreshed, you feel nice. But say you're eating a cheesy pizza or a burger or something really oily, you feel nice then, but after that you feel just blah. You feel sort of sick and you regret eating what you ate. So it is what you ate also gives you the feeling after. So you have to focus on what you're eating and what feeling it's giving you. Okay. So what happens why we emotional, why there is that whole connection between emotional eating and food is because, one, during this time a lot of people are noticing it because they don't have anything else to do. There's nothing to look forward to. They they get up, they wake up, they have breakfast, then they think about what to have for lunch, then there'll be what to make in the evening for snacks. So there's nothing else that anyone has to look forward to. So that is one thing. There's no recreation, no one to you know uh, talk to, no one to be around. So food is the only thing that gives you comfort. The other reason being, you don't really have the understanding of what's going on during this situation. You want to help, you want to feel better about it. You're only hearing bad news around, so you want to feel okay, so you look forward to just eating because that's the only thing that makes you feel nice right now. You can't do anything else. So there are a lot of aspects that cause emotions when you eat. So there are two types of emotional eating. One is physical, which people need to focus on, and emotional. So physical would be when you are hungry at a particular time. So focus at on the time that you're hungry. And emotional would be just that you're hungry at different timings, you don't even know when or why, or and even when you are when it's physical hunger, you will be satisfied with the portion that you eat, and you will know exactly. Say for example, I've had 2 rotis today and I'm done, I'm full. That is physical hunger. But with emotional hunger, even though you have had lunch, you're still not satisfied, you still are craving for some more. With physical hunger there is no craving. With emotional hunger there's a particular craving, like you'll want to have sweet, or you'll want to say have something salty, like, or something sour. So that is emotional hunger, that you crave for a particular thing. Physical is just, no, I'm hungry, I'll eat anything that is available, and usually it's a home cooked wholesome meal. Then there is with when it's physical eating, when it's physical emotions or physical hunger, you are full with what you have. Like I said, you don't crave for more, and also there is no guilt involved. You just eat it and you're happy. But when it's emotional eating, you eat it and then you feel sad thinking, okay, I shouldn't have had that, I'll gain weight, already I've put on weight, I don't feel good. And there's just negative talk. You keep thinking negative about yourself. But with physical hunger, there's no negative thought at all. There's no guilt involved. There's just you've had your meal and you're happy with that. You don't look to eat anything else. With have y'all noticed that, say, during this pandemic, that y'all have taken to food more than otherwise? Like y'all are looking forward to only eating and cooking and stuff like that more than the rest of the times. Yeah, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely have felt that. I feel like when there's not something that I'm doing that I feel is like purposeful, like recent, like just for this last week through the course of the mind retreat, like I've been binging less on, the munchies and like sweet stuff and those kinds of things. But
Because
then,
there's something to look forward to. There's
yeah,
something, your mind is busy, you're occupied. Most of the time you're always thinking, you're set for the day. You have a particular goal in mind, and you know that at this time there is this meeting, I need to be doing this, I need to think about what I need to do next. So you're constantly only thinking about work or thinking about something that is, creative, and it's your mind is not really just blank. So food is the only easiest option to think about.
right.
Nikita, were you saying something?
No, sorry. Sorry
That's
about
okay.
that.
That's okay. So yeah, so a lot of us have been doing that because of nothing else to do. Then so and you need to also watch how this is developing. Emotional eating will never just suddenly kick in. It is always slow. It will it will pick up slowly. So you need to watch out on different factors and see whether it is causing emotional eating. Like some of the factors may be, are you gaining weight, is there a lot of guilt involved when you're eating, then are people around you doing this too, feel good about themselves? Are they all, say at home you have siblings or your parents, are they also doing that? So then even you get into that habit of, looking forward to just eating to feel good. So there are so many aspects just around us that make us, do this. So then when we talk about ways that we can change this is look for something. One is to cope with stress, because I think mainly stress is the thing now. If you are stressed out, you tend to just eat, because that's your happy feeling. So cope with stress. A lot of people don't talk about the way they eat because they think it's not important. Oh, I'm just eating, I'm not doing anything. People think if you smoke and drink, that's the only bad thing, and that they should be talking about or addressing. But it's not just about smoking or drinking. Even eating can be a factor which people ignore when it comes to the way they feel or the way they think. So they need to focus on that. You need to talk to people. You need to say, even if you exercise, your endorphins are released and they are happy hormones. So when you exercise, and now since we have so much of time on our hands, we can actually, maybe in the morning or in the evening, look forward to doing something physical so that, those happy hormones are released. We have something to look forward to. It makes us fitter, because a lot of us are sitting for hours now together and just working. So I know that Anusha, you like this hours of work, but Amulya, sorry, hours of work sitting and working, but some are overdoing it, I think, because I know friends who have been working for 12, 13, 14 hours straight, and that is quite hectic for them. And the easiest thing for them to do is just pick up a snack or order food online. So a lot of us have been doing that of late because it's just easier for us to order online. Try and keep the snacks away. So I think that is one thing I've been wanting to tell everyone. Try and keep snacks away, because the minute you see it, you're tempted to eat. So if that's not there at home, there's no craving to eat it at all. That's and generally when we keep snacks at home, it is a lot of salty stuff. So when we have food with a lot of salt, again we tend to bloat, and then you have, and that builds up, so you tend to feel bloated throughout. So if you can cut down on these salty snacks that you generally have at home. So there's a lot to do with your feeling and food. When I talk of now, when I'm talking about food, a lot of them may be just confused, and their timings of food may be all over the place. The simplest things that you can do is, time your meals. See that you are able to fix a particular time for your meals and stick to that, because even though we sleep late and we're getting up at different hours, if we're able to fix our food timings, that at least keeps us a little more balanced. So if your breakfast can be, say, by 9 a.m., if so if you know that I need to eat by 9, you will wake up a little earlier to either prepare or get something to eat. So 9 should be your breakfast. Then by around say 11, 12 o'clock, if you want to have a snack, you can have say almonds, or if it is just, if there's tender coconut water around, if you want a fruit, if you want to drink a cup of tea or coffee, something like that. Another thing that I would want to tell people is try not to have tea or coffee with your meal, because what happens is uh, tea and coffee, they're nutrient robbers. So even if you're having a good nutritious meal, your body is not absorbing it because of tea and coffee. And all of us have the habit of, if we are having our breakfast, we have to have tea or coffee with it. Just leave a gap of about half an hour and then have tea or coffee. I would say if you're having breakfast by 9 o'clock, keep tea and coffee to say about 10:30 mid-morning, so that also cuts down from your craving to sort of have something heavier or get hungry again. By one, say around 1, 2 o'clock, you can have lunch. If you notice, there's always a 3 hour gap, 2 hours to 3 hours gap between your meal, because your body doesn't need to be eating very frequently, or there doesn't have to be huge gaps, because there's a lot of rise and drop in your sugar levels, and we don't want that. So we're trying to keep everything in the body at a constant state. So if you're eating within like 3 hours, your energy levels, all of that also stays the same. You don't get too tired, you are not too hyper suddenly, so things like that. And if you say if you have lunch by around 1, 2 o'clock, you can have say your evening tea, coffee, or even if you want to eat something, say a sandwich, peanut butter sandwich, or if it's fruit or fruit juice, you can have something by around 4, 5, and then your dinner by maximum by 9. See, what happens if you have dinner too late is post 6 o'clock, 6 p.m., your metabolism also is dropping. So when your metabolism drops, the whatever you're going to be eating is not going to be really utilized in the body. It will be stored. When that storage happens is when a lot of people see weight gain. So the later you eat during the night, the slower your body is processing anything. And our favorite is rice. So we generally tend to have huge amounts of rice in the night. Rice, I'm not saying is bad. It's okay to have rice, but the quantity of rice that we have, and the earlier the better, because like I said, metabolism is slowing down. So you're storing more fat in the body than you should be. And then try not to have anything post that. Even if you are up late watching a movie or talking to friends or any of that, don't binge eat, because that's not going to do you any good. A lot of people notice weight gain during this time because of their erratic sleep timings. They are sleeping whenever, waking up whenever. If you're able to fix a timing, like if you're able to say fall asleep by 11 o'clock and wake up by 7, 6, 7, depending on when you're comfortable with, you'll fall into that routine, and you'll start feeling better also about yourself. So when you know that you have a routine and you're following it, there's a lot of satisfaction that, okay, I'm at least doing this. My life is not all over the place. So there are a lot of psychology comes into play, because it's the feeling. Again, if we have a goal, we feel better about ourselves. If we don't, and for some who have, if they're having bad times with work, or if they've just got laid off, it just gets very difficult for them. So at least this puts you in some sort of path to know that, okay, at least in your life you're able to control things. And then basics I can tell you about your healthy eating is water. About, if you can include water, say maybe 2 to 3 liters in a day is good, especially now since it's summer. Try and get 3 liters a day into the body. For the ones who have the AC constantly on, remember to drink more water, or also what you can do, the simplest thing is keep a big bowl of water around you. So that, because what happens is with the AC, you tend to get more dehydrated because AC takes out a lot of fluids from the body, which we don't realize. We don't even know. Oh, the AC is on. We're feeling very cool and very nice, but that's actually not good. So if you notice and if you keep the bowl of water around, a lot of water from that gets evaporated. So your body fluids are in check. So that is one with water. When you're having your meal, try and keep the heavier portion. Say if it is rice, especially rice, have it during breakfast or lunch. Don't include that. And rice is a very fulfilling food. Like I know a lot of people who enjoy eating rice and they can't go to sleep without it. But try having it maybe during the morning or afternoon, not during the night, again, because I said it is too heavy for the system, and you are going to be putting on that few extra kgs if you overdo on rice in the night. Even if you are eating rice, include a lot of veggies, curd, eggs, meat, mix it up, have a wholesome meal, or like one chapati and a little rice, make something like that and make it whole. Then you don't have to worry about, a lot of people ask me, should I cut down meat? Will meat make me fat? Say for the people who do eat, beef, pork, etc. You don't have to worry about meats. Meats will not make you fat. They are a source of protein, but it depends on the way you cook it. So if you are frying stuff, say if you are having kebabs more often than usual, there's a lot of oil. So you need to reduce or cut back on the oil. But chicken as a whole, if you're grilling it or boiling it or just using it in, just a curry or something like that, you don't have to worry. Even for that example, any other meat, you don't have to worry if it's cooked in a better way than just frying it. The best things to have during summer would be buttermilk, tender coconut water, any of the seasonal fruits. Why I specify on seasonal fruits is because if it is not seasonal, they tend to have a lot of other, I wouldn't say chemicals, but yeah, say chemicals, fertilizer, pesticides to ripen everything when it is not seasonal. So because they are trying to produce more. So if it is seasonal, at least it's easier to get, and also it is in better quality. A lot of people are looking to have organic stuff nowadays. I just want to bring to your attention that organic doesn't always mean organic. There there are places that can even just put a tag saying organic. I know that is becoming a very easy thing to do now. So don't always look out for organic food, even if it's from a local market. Just see that you wash it, clean it well. That's enough, because I know that a lot of places that are selling organic food is very expensive, and you may be so worried saying, no, but I need to eat organic, I need to eat clean because I'll be safer. So don't really stress on that. Just see that you clean your food at home in a better way. So I have been jabbering and my mouth is paining right now. So if there are like questions, and then we can, then I can go back to my topic. If there's something that someone wants to ask me.
Yeah, looks like we got a question from Deekshita, and she asked, so there have been times when I'm hungry and I really look forward to eat my meal, but when it comes to eating, the appetite just goes away or dies.
Okay.
So,
So Deekshita, there must be when you are looking forward to eating, it may be not your meal. It may be like something that you want to eat, like for example, something. Say, I'm just giving you an example. Say it'll be a samosa or something like that. That one specific food. You'll be looking forward to eating something like that probably, and then when it comes to eating your food, which will be totally different, say it'll be dal chawal or roti or something, you're not happy because in your head you want to be eating something else, but when it comes to the physical food, you see it and just your appetite dies. So what I would tell you is, start writing about your food. Have a food diary. When you eat a particular thing, just write the feeling that you have. Say you eat dal chawal today, you're having paneer tomorrow, you have something else the next day. Just write your feeling. Even if you have junk, right? Write the feeling that you have. Slowly you will realize that the food that you're actually eating, it's more wholesome and you're more satisfied with it. So you'll also start looking forward to the food. It'll slowly build your appetite. If you have a poor appetite, cut down your meals into smaller portions, because maybe you're not able to just eat that one meal at that time. But whenever you do feel like eating, get something small to eat. Have some nuts, some dry fruits, a fruit, and then maybe 1 or 2 hours later have your meal. So you cut your portions down into smaller, your meals into smaller portions. So that way you won't lose appetite. You'll at least be getting in something into the body more frequently.
True. So we have a couple of comments and questions from Prajwal. So I think one of the things he says is, shouldn't everyone be eating more protein? And since 80% of Indians are deficient in protein. And then I just want to trail off of that question, so I am trying to cut down on meat. So, from everything that I've heard and researched, I've found out that, meat also takes longer to process, and I generally feel better when I eat vegetables and I feel like there's more energy. But then going back to his point, how should we be getting that protein?
Okay. So when it comes to protein, a lot of people are overdoing with protein. They're getting on keto diet because it is just protein intake. So Prajwal, one thing is, you need to remember that yes, we do need protein, but we don't need to overdo it. We don't need 80% of protein in our meals, because
No, that's not my question. My question was, I'm saying 80% of the people in India are deficient.
Oh, 80% of the people in India.
I have to have 80% of percentage in my mind.
Sorry, I misunderstood that. Okay, so if it's 80% of people who are sort of deficient in protein, we need to remember that we do get protein sources from our pulses, from our grains, from our dairy products. So from our vegetables also, some vegetables like our green peas, mushroom. So we are getting protein, but yes, not as much as meat, but we do get it in small forms. If we don't need to push it and go overboard and have any other other source of protein, like our protein powders or any of that. Like a lot of people are going to have protein powders because they think that they are vegetarian, they're not getting their source of protein, so they are looking outside for protein. So one thing is, you don't have to worry about protein, because our Indian body is made in such a way that from birth, we are used to having the foods that we are brought up with. And our body absorbs everything in a way that we are already used to. Now, if you try and change that, now if you have extra protein or you have extra fats, we are not used to it. So if we have extra protein, it may affect our kidneys. That is one thing that first happens, because you're overloading on protein. So don't try and change your regular foods to include, say, protein or fats or any of that, because you will see other side effects. Try and get it in your normal foods. So say you don't.
What should the normal protein intake be for a person?
So if you're breaking your protein, fats, and carbohydrates, it should be say 40, 40, and 20. 40 protein, 40 carbohydrates, 20 fats, or even lesser. Like you can balance protein a little more, like 5-10% more, then carbohydrates, and then fats the least. If I have to just tell you in measure how much oil in fats, how much of that you're supposed to be using, it has to be half a liter per person per month. So say if you're like 2 people at home, it should be just 1 liter of oil. That's how you calculate it. Because for me to tell you use 10 tablespoons a day or 5 tablespoons a day is very difficult. You're never going to get it. So if you if you calculate 1 liter per month for 2 people, it's easier. So, and break that. Yeah, tell me, Prajwal.
Yeah, I just want to know, like, are you saying like whey is bad then? It's just
Whey?
a byproduct of milk, right?
But it is an artificial source. It is artificial.
No, it is milk. It is milk into like, milk is made into whey.
Yes, but it's not only milk, right? You have other
sweetener concentrators, but that's, I mean, you eat a bag of chips and there's so many concentrators, right? No, I'm telling you, I'm not telling whey is necessary. If you can incorporate so much amount of protein in your daily diet just by foods, I mean, very good to you, because food is the best source, right?
Yeah, but what happens with, see, anything when it's pills, powders, anything artificial, our body will start doing is getting used to artificial sources. Now, if you're having protein in a powdered form, your body will get used to absorbing protein in a broken down form. So when you give protein in a complex form, say you have meat, okay, if you have meat, it takes very, very, very long for the protein to get absorbed in the body, because you have slowed down your body. You have made your body get used to artificial sources. I'm not saying it is bad, but the way your body tends to break it down, and your body tends to take a back seat, saying, okay, I've gotten used to this way of absorbing protein, which is broken down and very simple for me to absorb.
The fastest absorbing.
Yeah, it's a faster way. So when you actually, say if you're having chicken or you're having beef or anything that is with a lot of protein, your body can't take it. It takes very long to process it. Sometimes you may have it'll cause stomach aches, bloating. You may develop rashes because your body doesn't know how to process this complex protein. So that's what I mean by having artificial sources.
Okay. But I mean, regarding bloating and all, what about chia seeds in the morning? It's very good, right? It acts as an anti-inflammatory and
chia
all.
Seeds, pumpkin seeds, flax seeds,
Yeah.
all of the seeds and nuts are good to have. You can have your walnuts, almonds, raisins, pistas. The list is endless. All of that is okay.
Fix it, right? Basically, you can fix your body by doing all these things as well.
Yeah,
which cause inflammation and like, when you take chia seeds,
because
the apple cider vinegar and all that.
You mean if you're having this, it causes?
I mean, I'm telling you said when you take whey, like it bloats up your system and your body gets used to a certain way of digestion, right? Because it's very quick. Food doesn't get digested so quick as compared to whey protein.
True.
So what I'm asking is, so because of that happening, so I make sure like I have some chia seeds every day and an apple cider vinegar every day, so that I maintain the balance always. Okay. So I'm asking, does it help?
It might help, but I know for some people who have done this, who have had protein and apple cider vinegar, so they have apple cider vinegar first thing in the morning, and what I've noticed is they feel dizzy, they have a lot of they feel sick. Even say if they have breakfast, they're not able to tolerate breakfast. They have the feeling where they're going to bring it back out, but it settles. That's what vinegar does sometimes to people. So it's just different. People have different reactions with food. If it's suiting you, if chia and apple cider vinegar is reducing the bloatedness in the body, then it's good. I mean, it works for you, but not for all. I think Sheetal and Nikita have raised their hand. They want to ask something.
Yeah, hi Priyanka. I just had a question.
Yeah.
So a lot of people swear by quantified nutrition and quantified diets, especially for weight loss. And when people do follow it, the results are pretty amazing. Is this a sustainable way of living? I don't know. I followed a quantified diet for almost a little more than a week, and it was quite overwhelming, to be honest.
You would have seen a lot, huge results.
No, it was just for a week, and it was extremely tedious because I had to literally measure everything that I was eating. And I couldn't keep up with it. So I quit. So I just wanted to know what your thoughts were on it.
That's what, so I really don't recommend anyone following any particular diet. See, like there is Atkins, Mediterranean, keto, intermittent. There are a lot of different, see, intermittent is a different kind of fast, but yeah, keto, Atkins, Mediterranean, all of that is not Indian based. It becomes very difficult to continue something like that. So we may follow it for 3 to 6 months, maybe max, but then what? We get tired. Like I'm, saying how you have gotten tired of the process of doing the whole thing, and then you stop. Then what happens? You go back to square one. And then when you go back to square one, you're again with that same feeling of, say, if you put on that weight, you're again tired of it. You're again, feeling guilty whenever you eat. You're feeling low. So you shouldn't be doing anything that is extreme that you're not able to do. Try sticking to something that you think would go on for some time. Say if it is just with natural foods, if you're able to break down your portion sizes, or if you're able to choose your foods wisely, say you're portion controlling, or even if you mix and match foods, if you're able to just do that, I think you see a lot of difference. You don't need to go on really strict diets because it's never long lasting. I have seen that you cannot change the way you eat completely. At least Indians, we are so used to say our rice and our dals and our curries and our rotis and all that. We can never really stop or change that and do something different. We need to have a constant way of doing that. Like even for people who have turned vegan and all of that, it's very, very difficult. They can't, like, they try it for some time, but it's only because of the work that they stop it. So what you can do with your diets, if you're trying stuff, I think make small changes. Start that way. Don't change everything entirely. Maybe change your breakfast, just that one meal. The rest of the 2 meals you have normally. So you're at least getting used to it. Okay. And then slowly break maybe the way you snack, change the way you're having dinner, change the timing of dinner. So that's what I would think. I wouldn't recommend changing your entire diet or following very stringent diets, because it will never last, and you will go back psychologically to feeling the way you felt when you started the diet, or for the reason you started the diet, you'll go back to that. So I hope that answered your question, Nikita.
Yeah, got it. Thank you. Thank you.
We had another question from Sheetal.
Yeah.
So Sheetal says, when stressed or overworked, how do we tackle lack of hunger or when we're emotionally not eating?
Okay, when stressed or overworked. Sheetal, what I would say is try keeping something around you. Just the basic. It can be just fruits. If you have absolute no hunger, try keeping fruits around. Try keeping, say, if you like to have, if you like to drink something, you can have, say, milk with, if something that makes you feel nice, like Hershey's syrup or Bournvita or Boost or Horlicks, one of those mixes. So at least you're getting something in. And because you're overworked, at least you'll drink something. Or say, if it's easy for you to keep nuts around, like almonds or walnuts. So you, even while you're working, you're just sort of munching something. So you're not completely hungry. I know that it can be a task if you're overworked to go and sit down and eat lunch, but try and keep these things around that are healthy, so you at least pick on it. And when you're really eating all of this, you tend to feel hungry gradually. Like say at lunchtime, you will feel hungry. You will want to eat. Or even what I would say is, if you have company, sit with them, talk to them and eat. That really helps. So because I know that if you are alone, you just want to skip food. You don't feel like eating food. You're like, oh, okay, maybe in the evening I'll eat. I don't want to eat now. So if you have company around, just video call someone or talk to someone on the phone, and you will feel like eating. Or rather, even if you have a meal, you'll actually finish more of what you have expected to eat. For example, when you're watching a movie or a series, you never know how much you're eating. You just you just gobble everything up. So it's the same way. If you have no appetite at all, see that you're talking to someone at least at that time, so you will eat.
Awesome. And then we have a question from Atri. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. So he asks, what is the whole debate about basmati and white rice and brown rice? Is it safe to consume basmati or any locally grown white rice in right quantities while being careful about the timing?
Yes, it is okay. You don't have to stick to brown rice all the time. They see there is red rice, there's black rice. If you have heard about that, the Chinese forbidden rice, but no one does have it. But so there are a lot of things about. See, brown rice is healthy because of the husk. In white rice, it's removed, it's polished. Try not to get very polished rice also. If you can see, like basmati, that way is in the market at least is highly polished rice. Just get the normal Sona Masuri or anything like that, and you can have it in the right portions. The easiest way to measure the amount of rice that you're eating, if it's like white rice being okay to eat, is one bowl. Your hand, if you can fit a bowl in your hand, that's the measure of rice that you should be eating in a meal. So you can measure it that way. Generally, what we do is our plate is this big and we tend to cover up the entire space. So don't do that. Put your rice in the bowl and then put it on your plate. So you know that I'm just eating that much of rice in a day. So don't worry about basmati or brown rice or white rice or red rice or any of that. White rice is okay to have, afternoon being better, and the portion size. But yes, if you are diabetic or you know someone who is diabetic and that's why you're asking me, white rice, the glycemic index is higher, and brown rice, it's lower. That means the sugars from the food get absorbed into the bloodstream much faster. So white rice, that does happen. So that's why diabetics choose to have brown rice, because the glycemic index is much lower. So I hope I answered that question.
Awesome. We'll move on to the next one. So Nadia asks, what kind of oil should we use for cooking? I've been using sesame oil because I've read somewhere sunflower oil isn't a great choice. And also with olive oil marketed so largely as a healthy oil, what would be your suggestion? And I guess we'll answer that. And then just trailing off of that, Ayushi has a question. Is it good to keep changing oils or better if we stick to one type of oil?
Okay. So Ayushi, your question is good. It's good to keep changing oils because you get different properties, say your vitamin A, B, different MUFAs and PUFAs. I'm not going into that, but you get different, your body absorbs different properties from different oils. So it is good to keep changing your oils. You don't have to worry at all. Just that you have to consider the amount of oil that you use. So like I said, that half a liter per month per person, that includes all your different oils, ghee, butter, all of that. So try and just measure, but go ahead and use any oil. When it comes to Nadia's question about you've been using sesame oil, don't worry, it's okay. Sunflower oil is not bad. So I don't know where you have heard stuff like that, but yes, the internet has a lot of it. So even if you have to read about sesame oil, there'll be a ton of things that say it's bad. So everything has its good and bad. So don't worry, sesame oil is good, sunflower oil is good. Olive oil, when it comes to olive oil is not used to cook, to heat. So there's a chain in oils, like the chain of chemicals. So when olive oil is heated too much, it sort of becomes toxic, and we are not supposed to use heated olive oil too much. That's why it's only used in salads, pastas, any cold food, so that you just drizzle it on top and it just gives you the flavor. It is not used to cook. So that way, actually cooking, you can use sunflower oil because the density is much lower. So if you look at oils, if you compare oils, and if you look at the thickness of the oil, which we are That's called the density of oils. Every oil is much thicker than sunflower oil. So sunflower oil is actually very light on the system. So I don't really know where you have heard stuff like that, but I think maybe a little more of reading would help you, because sunflower oil is one of the thinnest oils. So it doesn't stick to the system, like it doesn't line the system. That way, if you use other oils, it's quite thicker, like coconut oil, mustard oil, sesame oil to some extent. So, but it's okay that you're using sesame. Just try, and even if you were using sunflower, you can sort of go back to using sunflower oil. You don't have to worry about it. But don't use olive oil for cooking. Use that on salads or pastas, or to drizzle it on anything else.
Awesome. And then just going off of that, I know Prajul had another question. He says, what about ghee? Is it a good source of?
Yes, good source of fats. Yes, it is a good source of fats. You don't have to worry about including, ghee in your chapatis or rice. You can include it, but just don't overdo it, because say if you are having, if rice is your staple meal, don't include it in 3 meals. If you're using it, say a teaspoon or 2 once a day, that's good enough. It's a good source of fat. It keeps your skin, hair, all of that very moisturized. It's good for digestion. So you can use it.
Perfect. And then there's a question from Maria. She asks, hi Priyanka, is there any significant difference between white sugar and brown sugar?
Again, the glycemic index is different. Like I said with rice, like how white rice and brown rice, in white rice, the glycemic index is high. That means the sugars from that food gets absorbed into the bloodstream and remains in the bloodstream for a longer time. White sugar does that. So that's why a lot of people, even if they are non-diabetics, they're trying to stay off white sugar so that sugars don't form and remain in the bloodstream. Brown sugar, that way the glycemic index is much lesser. So it's safer to have. That's the reason.
Okay. And I just wanted to go back to the oils. I know, like in terms of olive oil, these days you get cooking oil, which is olive oil. What is your take on that?
Basically you can't change the oil. You can't change what the oil is made of. So it's more like I don't want to say it, but it's more like for a marketing purpose. I mean, I'm not supposed to say it. I will get beaten up, I think, but also for it to go out and it's in the market. So for people to know that yes, you can use this for cooking, because see, a lot of us who know what olive oil is will tell other people, see, olive oil is not used for cooking. You just drizzle it because it becomes toxic with heat. So they have to mention it is a cooking oil so that it is used or goes out in the market. So, but otherwise, I don't think you should be using olive oil for cooking. Like it's like brown bread and white bread. So brown bread nowadays, there's a lot of talk. I should be only eating brown bread, but how is brown bread made? Like now, because it's made in such a huge quantity, it's just glazed. It's just like there is browning out. It's just glazed with a small amount of sugar that's added into the yeast while making the bread, and that forms the whole thing. So I would say if you just have multigrain, if it's available wherever, or if you're having normal sandwich bread or milk bread, that's okay. Don't focus on having only brown bread. So it's the same thing like the cooking olive oil. Pardon?
Roshan, were you saying?
Sorry. I was just telling my mom that you were suggesting multigrain and I didn't realize I was unmuted. My bad.
Okay. What about maida and whole wheat bread? Yeah. So that's what whole wheat is better. So your multigrain whole wheat. Maida is again used for breads to make it fluffy, which a lot of bakeries and other places do use. So that's why I mentioned try multigrain if it's possible. Milk bread, yes. So because they do put in a little more milk than maida to give it that flavor. But multigrain would be the best.
And then just I guess going back to the first part, when we talked about emotional triggers and, how that makes us, eat maybe like, junk and those sorts of things, how can we be proactive in just figuring out that it's an emotional trigger? Is there
Okay.
anything that you can advise?
So notice if, so keep a food diary and notice what are the main things that you are focusing on eating. Say now if you have, say 3 meals or 4 meals in a day, focus on what are the main things you're actually eating during the day. And then say at the end of the week, see how much of it is good healthy food and see how much of it is junk, like say if you are having chips or if you're having something fried, so you will know whether you are emotionally eating by the end of the week, because otherwise you will not know. So whenever you buy something or whenever you're eating something, just make a note of it, call it, like it's called a food diary, so note it down so you will know. Another thing is, notice, keep a constant check on your weight. A lot of people don't do that because either they're too scared to step on the scale or they don't think it's important. But I would say it is important at this time because you never know how much you're eating. So if you are eating a lot more, you will know that either you're stressed or something is happening, and or you are overworking. So that's why you've been gaining that extra pounds. Another thing would be, if you're looking out for that particular food constantly. So say someone's looking out for ice cream on a regular basis, or say like food like say like sweets or something like that. You need to focus on why are you having so much of those particular cravings. Sometimes it can be, if you're looking out for sweet, it can be because, say back in childhood, if you look at the psychological part of it, back in like childhood days, sweet was given to you, or a chocolate or a toffee was given to you to make you feel good for doing something. So you're right now we are trying to reward ourselves by having something sweet. So in your food diary, if you notice that you're having excessive sweets, look back at your week and see whether you have had a stressful week. That's why you feel like eating something that was given to you probably much earlier in childhood. That's become like a sort of habit for you now, even without you knowing. So that
Awesome.
can be some of the signs.
Thank you. And then I think Nadia has a question which sort of relates to the same thing. How do you distract yourself when you want to indulge in emotional eating?
One is, don't keep snacks around so you never see it and you never feel like eating it. Another thing can be, if you feel like you are emotionally eating already, talk to someone about it. So when you cope with stress or with negative feelings, you feel much better about yourself. Another thing would be exercise, because when you exercise, you feel good. So endorphins are released, so there are happy hormones. So you don't focus on just eating. Then there can be, try and understand what you're eating, when you're eating, how you are eating. If you want to keep yourself distracted, and if you aren't working, find a hobby, do something that you like, paint, draw, clean around, focus on different things, like, rearrange your house or your room. So it keeps you really distracted that way. So that's some of the
Would you
stuff
also
that you can do.
say, I've heard this a lot, especially through the mind retreat, right? Like in terms of mindful eating, when you're eating, stay away from, the TV and stay away from your
Yes,
phone.
don't sit in front of the TV or watch a series or a movie, because when you are doing that, you never know how much you are eating. You never really relish the food that you're eating. You just eat it because it's there, but you're more focused on watching something. So you never know the quantity that you're eating. You never know how, if you really like the food, if you want to eat more. Sometimes what happens is, for example, if you have 3 chapatis on your plate, um, if you're watching a series, you will just eat all three. But sometimes your body just needs like two. You're not even that hungry to eat three. But because you're watching something, you're just going on and on and on eating. And sometimes you even overdo it. You take maybe an extra serving when you're not that hungry. So yeah, when you're not watching something, I think you're more focused on what you're eating and how much you're eating.
Yeah, and I think even if you have your phone around and stuff, sometimes the message might come from work. I'm just, you know, it just adds to some stress, and then you're like, I'm
Yeah, yeah. So try and keep all the triggers away, you
yeah,
know.
just
But
like focus on the food. And you know, I've
yeah,
heard also just you know, mindfully observing the textures of the food when you're eating it. Appreciate your food. Make
yeah, chew
food.
your food well,
Yeah,
chew it a little more than, you know, the normal times that you would chew your food. That becomes that, you know, you have that sort of connection with your food. You either you start liking it more, you have more interest in what you're eating. So I think that's a good aspect of, yeah, mindful eating. So,
awesome.
and then that's what, like Nadia, you will also know that if you're eating, you know, something that is not supposed to be had, and if you're not watching it in front of the TV or your phone, you'll understand that you're eating it only out of some emotion.
Got it. And then we have 2 more minutes left. We're gonna
Yeah,
take
so
last question.
Prajwal asked, what are the best superfoods to better your gut health? Okay. So one best food would be right now to improve your gut health would be your probiotics. So curd being the best, your most natural form. Uh, and then if the curd can be homemade if you all make curd at home, because there would not be any powder added, like milk powder added to it. It's just natural form. And that you can have after every meal, every day. Another thing would be you can include your flax seeds, pumpkin seeds, chia, all of that. Like I think Prajwal is already including stuff like that in his foods. But that is something again that gives a lot of nutrition to your body, and it keeps you, in good health. Like be it your skin, hair, your keeping your brain active, so stuff like that. So those are some of it that you can include. But gut health, yeah, Prajwal, I think curd will do you good. You're
Awesome.
welcome.
Awesome. Great, guys. Those are some really, really good questions. And I don't know how this hour flew, and it's already like going to be 6. I just want to take, you know, a few seconds to say thank you. Thank you, Priyanka, for, you know, being here, for being part of Mind
You're
Retreat,
welcome.
and yeah, giving all of this fantastic advice, which I think we definitely need during this. It's a pretty stressful time for all of us, you know, in terms of like, you know, we talked about we want to help, and then, you know, you're also you have work or like, you know, other things that you're balancing out at home, and, you know, it all gets to you. So how do you kind of keep that balance and keep yourself mentally and physically, you know, well? So I think that's definitely important. So I just want to say, you know, thank you again. And if anyone has any more questions, please feel free to, you know, directly message me. I can definitely pass that on to Priyanka, and I will also share her details with you guys in an email. And yeah, thank you so much. And, you know, guys, again, all of this is for a cause. We are raising money to help those in need. And so if you got even one thing out of this session, please feel free to like go to the donation links that, you know, we've provided, and make that donation. Even if it's a little amount, it goes a long way for someone in need.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about the amount that you're donating. Even if it's the smallest, you're still doing a bit for someone out there. You're helping somebody at least out there.
Yes,
So,
yes. Awesome. With that, thank you all. Thank you so much. Thank you, Priyanka.
thank
And
you so much for having me. And I'm so glad that everyone could ask their questions and they found it helpful.
Thank
So
you.
yeah, thank you for having me, and thank you for attending.
Thank you, Priyanka.
Okay, no problem, Prajwal. Thanks for listening in.
thanks, guys. We'll have more of this. So I'll see you in another session.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye-bye.